Okay, go live. Good Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to my live today. It seems that I have some trouble joining one of the groups here. My name is Maritza Duran, and today's topic is how choosing the wrong location can set you up for failure. This is a very important topic for those who are associate dentists, really dreaming of practice ownership and who are serious about starting a practice that is both fulfilling and profitable. I am going to be sharing with you some stories and strategies and tools to help you make sure that as you embark on the path of practice ownership, that you have a good understanding of the importance of selecting a smart location to ensure that you're serving the right people and that you are setting yourself up for success instead of failure. So as you guys are joining me and finding this event or this live, just let me know in the comments where you're watching from. And if you have any questions, make sure to post them on the chat for me during our talk. And if you guys are watching the replay, let me know in the replay whether or not you are already an existing practice, is your practice located, and what are some of those things that you have done to secure a smart location and things that you wish you knew before getting into the particular location that you are in. So what I want to basically, the big idea for this topic or for this live is that there is no such thing as an ideal location, if you will. What is important is that you have a good strategy for supporting the location that you are getting into. Okay. And I'm going to, as I said, share with you some of the steps and framework that I develop with my clients to ensure that we are opening in a practice that you envision yourself treating those patients, and that those patients means to be able to afford for your services are in alignment. And so if there's anything that we want to incorporate as the foundation of this conversation, is that vision and strategy in location selection is extremely important. I see too often dentists who try to put lipstick on a pig. And I want to help as many dentists as possible avoid that. Okay. So, um, so think of it as your vision, which is the very and most important thing, as your compass. Basically, it's going to help guide you through all of the decisions and help you navigate, all of the things that you need to do through a competitive market. And on that point, I think it's important to give you perspective and the things that you need to do. What does the vision look like for me as a practitioner to be able to determine where to select the practice? And one of the very important things that I want you to pay attention to is, if you're working as an associate in a practice where you are not excited about the treatment that you are providing to the patients because they're setting limitations. And thank you so much that person that just joined me live. If you don't mind letting me know if you can hear me and see me okay. As you join me, just throw a thumbs up or something on the comments just to make sure my technology is working fine. Today's topic, as I was saying, is how choosing the wrong location can set you up for failure. And I wanted to share with you some stories of clients who have been able to build very successful practices because they chose a location, but the location that they chose was in alignment with the services that they were envisioning to provide, and they created a long-term vision that this practice was in alignment to. Opposite to that, I have been hearing conversations just recently. I had a dentist who reached out to me and said, I've been open for 2 years and I decided to go on this business model, and I am really having difficulty. My collection or my production is simply about audio is good. Thank you for letting me know, Tracy. So just to give you perspective about the importance of the location, But not as important as the location is the mindset and the strategy around that location, right? Like there are three key principles of us as business owners, to make sure that we have a sustainable business, right? First, you have to have a product or service that people want and need. And yes, dentistry is a product, it's a service that people need. But the second key component is that the people need to be able to afford those services and have the means to pay for these services. And number three, the third component is that you need to present it to them and promote it to them and get it visible to them. And so as you're embarking in practice ownership and you're deciding on where to open your practice, right? You have to understand that you're going to need to meet those three components, or those three components. So if you're opening, and you personally, I have a dentist right now who is working for a DSO, and she's like, my clinical skills are not being utilized because I am in a position where I'm limited on the services that I can do because of that particular practice's business model. And I cannot offer a lot of, comprehensive dentistry that is my passion and my clinical training. And so we know that that practice, she's not in alignment as an associate there, and she wants to start her own location so that she can treat the patients that she wants to serve, right? Now, when we are servicing those patients, when we're selecting our location, need to understand that the patients that we want to serve, like our vision clinically, is in alignment with the people that are congregated in that particular area. So this is why it's so important not only to run demographic analysis to make sure that the age group and all the information about the ideal avatar of your patient, but equally important is how are they going to pay for your clinical skills. It's also part of it. So one of the patients or a dentist, and as many of you know, one of the services that I used to provide up until last year was PPO negotiations. So I've done, a lot of projects exclusively for like large institutions, DSOs, and private practitioners, as far as helping them negotiate fees directly with insurance companies through umbrella relationships. And I had that particular program that I used to help dentists in the past. And some of those dentists will come to me, and we're not working as their consultants throughout the entire project, but only on that particular program or piece of the puzzle, if you will. And I would find that they came in and they said to me, Maritza, I don't want to participate with this insurance. I'm totally against this or that. And we would conduct market research to help develop the insurance mix for this particular practice. And there was not alignment between the provider's individual goals of what the person that they wanted to serve or the fees that they wanted to collect, and the location that they chose, and how they're going to and how the people are going to be paying for the service that this individual or this dentist is willing to provide. So there's a misalignment there that it's setting up this dentist for failure. And the reason why I say that it's setting them up for failure is because we have to look at the bigger picture, not just choose the location based on the demographics, but also based on our vision clinically for who we want to serve. But we need to ensure that those patients have the means to pay for our services and that we market it to them. So I used to tell my my PPO clients, as long as you have a strong marketing plan and budget, you can come in and impose yourself and your model onto a community that otherwise would be inclined to using their dental benefits. And so when we conduct the market research that was part of the program, we would notice that, in this particular case study, the 95% of the patient population would be, let's say, Delta Dental. And the dentist wants to be completely out of network with Delta Dental. Delta Dental is, one of, if not the worst, PPO insurance, and we all get it. But if you have chosen a location, do your due diligence about who you want to serve instead of going through this expensive, project of taking a loan for $800,000 to do a build out to then come in and impose your services or yourself as a fee for service practitioner in an area where 95% of the population has insurance and is insurance driven. Then, if you want to put lipstick on a pig, you need to program and train the pig in this way to you need to justify your out of network status for this particular location. And so when I talk about setting yourself up for failure and how to avoid setting yourself up for failure is by creating a strategy around the location that you select. Okay. So part of the strategy is before you go into the marketplace to look at spaces, to look at commercial spaces, or whether you're going to lease or purchase, besides the market analysis that gets run by the broker or the consultant, we do this all the time for our clients. You need to look at what is currently happening in the market. What's the average household income? That's important. But equally important is your competition. You need to analyze your top competitors, see what they're doing, and replicate what is working for them. And if that means you're going to need to be flexible, and through this flexibility, be able to get yourself up and running for the first year and have a short term trial strategy before you impose your long-term vision onto this community, you need to give yourself that buffer period to educate them, to earn their trust before you come in and you're a total stranger to the community. And whenever someone reaches out to your practice, I am not participating with that plan. And so when I recently had another conversation with a dentist that reached out to me, and she said, I've been open for 2 years, and I asked the questions that I always ask: how is your collection? What was your business model? How did you decide to incorporate this business model versus something different? The question always comes to, this is what I wanted, right? Like, I wanted to open a practice. I knew that I wanted to start a practice, and I really liked this location and the demographics were great. But then I I didn't understand, they missed somewhere on there a key component, which is, how are the people in your selected area going to afford to pay for your services? And there's no glory on you. And I always say this to anybody paying attention. There's no glory on you being a fee for service practitioner if you are struggling to pay your bills, if you are unable to sustain a long-term employment, longevity in the workforce, and you're competing with all these DSOs that are offering benefits and incentivize their employees, even if the culture is not ideal. um, People are looking for full-time positions because the economy is not where we can afford just to work 2-3 days a week for a dentist that we love working with, but the business model is not in alignment with the community, and as such, the owner struggles. And you can sense when someone is struggling when you have conversations with them, and they cannot, the biggest, most scary part of owning a business is not able to meet payroll and looking at your schedule and not having your schedule filled. And again, there's so many different blind spots within opening a practice, and there is no right or wrong strategy. But if I can give you guys any piece of advice, as you're, if you're in this journey of starting a dental practice, do all the heavy lifting up front. And it doesn't matter where you decide to open a practice, be flexible to set up a location where your services are adjusted to the needs of the community, and that those services are they're able to afford for them. Otherwise, you have to really work on developing your brand, on education for your patients, and earning their trust. And there is a time frame for you to do that, when you can either start this process early, or you can actually do it and for the first couple of years to be able to change the course. Otherwise, you're going to set yourself up for failure. I want to be able to share with you one of my clients again that we went through this process together, from selecting the practice, the services that she was going to provide, and there were a lot of opportunities for potential locations or commercial spaces that showed up through this process of her seeking the ideal location to set up her practice. But it was not in alignment with the services. Like, the population either didn't have the 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 means or the to justify for her to make that decision to select this particular location, and kept on the hunt, looking for the location that was in alignment with her personal and drafted business plan. In the contrary, I had like one of like I know that last year, and I share this, I'm not embarrassed to say this, I went through like a really tough last quarter. I had some changes in my business that really impacted me mentally, physically, and financially, and it helped me change the course of the services and the structure of my business. I had to let go of people. I had to restructure my entire business, right? And I'm happy that I did that. But I went through like a period where it was really challenging. It was very, very difficult. It was very scary. And I've always held on to my vision from the very beginning. I always knew what I wanted, but I also understood that I needed to work on earning people's trust and building a team. And I work remotely, like I can serve anyone in the country. But if you are a dentist and you need to secure a location, get into a lease that it's a long-term commitment, you cannot afford to get into this practice to test drive whether or not your business model is going to work out, whether or not you can afford to be in the network or out of network, or be fee for service, or do implant cases in a rural area where everyone is edentulous and needs removable, prosta. There is, you have to ensure that these decisions, and not just on the demographics, that the numbers make sense in terms of, projection of growth and the medium household income and the patient to doctor ratio. That's super important. But more importantly is your services, the work that you want to focus on, short term and long term. Are these individuals congregated in this area? And if they are congregated in this area, that checks the first box. But the second box is, how are they going to pay for my services? Can their household income or their current, situation, or if they are active in the workforce, it is likely they're going to have some form of payment. What strategy am I going to use? And again, I help dentists that are completely fee for service practitioners, and they make their businesses successful. And I have providers that are PPO only, very conservative. I have a dentist right now that is opening a practice and it's participating with some of the Medicaid insurance. There's no right or wrong, but it is important that if you decide on selecting a site and you're making a long-term commitment, that you get into this community to add value to them first. And from the Essex value that you receive, that you give, you're going to be able to create a profit, right? Once you are profitable, then you can make those changes. But if you do your due diligence before then, you don't need to go through this trial and error. You can just simply get into the practice and make it where it is successful from the very beginning. And because you have this blueprint and you've gone through all of the different key areas of, of what it entails for you to build a successful practice from start to finish, the pre-opening, to ensure that you're building a strong foundation for your practice. And so, I want you guys to learn from the two different types of stories that I've just shared with you. The one from the dentist who has been open for 2 years, decided on a business model that was not in alignment with the community that she decided to where she decided to set up shop, and the market so competitive, and then she doesn't have the income to support the aggressive marketing to continue to attract patients. I also had a dentist, and this is one of the areas where it becomes tricky when we either choose to work with a consultant to help us through this process, or if we try to do it ourselves. And also the type of consultant that we're getting into the picture. I had recently a former consultant that was a rep for like a major equipment company. And yes, they offer great consulting services, but you have to take it with a grain of salt, because it doesn't really help you to purchase a ton of equipment and technology and things like that if you don't do the due diligence to understand how you're going to get patients to agree to getting services from you, and if you're not opening your location in an area that it's in alignment with what those service that you're looking to do. So again, a similar story. The rep reaches out to me and is like, Maritza, I want you to help my client who I helped them open the practice. She's, this dentist is great, but she's really struggling. And so what was the business model? Well, we're like, I don't have any patients. And here we have the latest technology, all of the equipment, no money to do marketing. There are so many things that are extremely important before you select a site. It's not just about setting up shop, spending a lot of money on technology and equipment, but really, really doing the dirty behind the scenes work. I call these the intangibles. Our goal is to have a full schedule, but a full schedule is the result of everything that you do behind the scenes. And the things that you do behind the scenes, you have to understand that it requires a lot of analysis, a lot of research, that it's not the type of research that you simply look at from demographic reports. It requires more in-depth information, and you have to also be flexible. So if there are three things that I can leave you with for this video, for this episode, is the main idea is that if you want to set up an office and not choose the wrong location and not set yourself up for failure, number one, start with a very clear vision of what it is that you want to, who you want to serve, and the clinical excellency that you're willing to provide to these patients, short term and long term. Go out there to start looking for a location where these individuals are congregated. That's the second piece. But number three, you need to be flexible and understand that if you find an opportunity, success is where opportunity and planning meet. Create a plan that helps you build and create this, make this location successful. Because again, the last thing you want to do is try to put lipstick on a pig. And a lot of times it is the individual that makes the mistake of trying to come into an area and impose their services to the wrong audience, to the wrong patients, clinically and financially. The burden of like, you call an office and what's their business model? It's not in alignment with the area. Again, this dentist that I helped a while ago, not doing the best that she could. We helped her in the process. She made decisions independently about what she wanted to do as far as the location. That was all the market research, supported a particular business model that she was against based on her beliefs. And the result was not the best, financial structure. Opposite to that, I have dentists that go through this framework and this process and this proven system and are flexible and are able to adjust to the needs of the community and understand that that comes first. And then their willingness to adjust and be flexible is priority to serve that community. And they're able to really build successful practices. So again, make sure that you have a very clear vision of who you want to serve. Understand that you're going to need to understand how the patients are going to be paying for your services and create a plan around that. And number three, be flexible. Create a plan around the services or the community that you're looking to serve, because otherwise you're going to set them up for failure and yourself. It's a disservice to them if you come in and you're not prepared to serve them. And it is your responsibility, for the sake of yourself, your family, and your employees that rely on you having the mindset and the strategy and the plan at hand to make sure that your first business is a successful one. So with that, I will see you guys next week, Wednesday. If anyone has any questions, if you're in the journey of starting your first dental practice and you need any sort of, resources, advice, tips, reports, or anything, I am more than happy to jump on a discovery call with you, give you my honest opinion on where you are, make recommendations, and become your partner in crime, and be part of your journey as well, as I embark on my own journey of helping dentists build their first successful practices. Until next time, thank you for those of you who joined me during the live today. And let me know in the comments if you found this helpful and useful. And I will see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.